Let's talk about batching then. So we've got a brand new hybrid project, completely blank currently, and we need to get some users in there. So we could do an import CSV from here, or we could just do the start discovery, which talks about the agent which we would put on a local machine. So we're going to do that for this particular demo. So let's jump across to the Exchange server and see what that looks like. So we have the already downloaded onto the machine, and it'll ask for credentials when we run it. These are your migration with credentials, and hitting next there will give us a few options about how we want to bring things in. So already it's detected that we have a work group and a project set up for hybrid, but the interesting one here is the smart batching. So we can do the batching, and in this case I'm going to choose it by country and by city, but you can see we have a lot of different items we can choose. In fact, you can even batch it with custom attributes, which is kind of handy too. So let's choose city, and delegate options. What are we interested in? I'm just going to say full access permissions for this and kick that off and start it. When that is done, it'll tell us how many mailboxes it discovered, and we can just hit the done button here and close that out. And coming back to the migration with screen, you can see it knows we're doing an import, and it wants us to decide a few options before it brings those users in. How the delegate validation handling is, I'm going to say one level up and down here, and also I'm going to say do not make changes to any mailboxes currently bashed in the system. We're going to come back to those other two options with the secondary import I'm going to do, but for this one we'll click the top one here and hit import mailboxes. That will take a few minutes to process all of that, so we'll take a look at that when it's done. Any user that had a location, a country and a town in their AD entry, you'll see has come up and living in one of these batches here. So we can see, if we go into this one, see there's 3 people. Anybody that didn't have that assigned in their AD is going to sit in unbatched users, which is what we have here. And there's quite a lot of those. You can see we only, by the look of it, only 300 or so people had that flag tagged. What we could do here is we could go and create a batch, and we might call this one our pilot A batch, and we do that. We might then want to pick some unbatched users, and we just go and tag a couple of these here, and we could then move those mailboxes, as you can see, into our pilot. Easy enough to do. However, what we really want to do is do some more batching based on other Active Directory attributes, which I'm going to show you how to do now. So we've jumped back onto the server, and we've gone back into the agent again to run it a second time. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to pick out department, and I'll leave the secondary field blank. So anybody that has a department flagged on the AD is going to be brought in with this particular import batch. So I'll hit start and come back to that when it's finished. Now the import here is going to be a little different. You have the option here to say, do I want to update batches for mailbox that are in not submitted? And that could possibly change anything in the system as long as they're in a not submitted state. But I'm going to say here, only update mailboxes that are in the unbatched mailboxes grouping. So that's 1600 or so users. Those are the only ones that could be affected by this import, which is particularly useful if you already have batches you're working with and you don't want them to be messed with based on subsequent imports. So we'll just hit import here and come back to that when it's done. What it looks like now is you can see that we have some finance, some HR and IT. These are because of the departments that people were in. It hasn't touched anything with these users down here. So because we told it not to touch them, if there was somebody in HR in the Bellevue office, for example, they would not get moved into that other batch. So you've got to play with those options carefully, and obviously have a look at the batches once you're done there to see really what they look like and see what people are in them. But essentially the agent does make it quite easy to play with the batches and move people around as necessary. And obviously you can then create your own batches and do your own pilot work or whatever you need to do. But it means that the batching process is taken away from the spreadsheets and the CSV files, and you can do it inside the system, and also hand this off to other people in your organization so they can use the batching functions as well to move people around if necessary. Thank you for watching. This is just a quick example of how batches are handled in the hybrid management tool that we have in Migration Wiz, and feel free to drop us a line with any questions you have. Thank you.